Okay, hello teachers. Welcome to the world of Lesson Plan Toolbox. I am Lauren Zwiegen. I am the founder of Lesson Plan Toolbox, where we help primary teachers master classroom management. We want to get this in the hands of as many teachers as possible. So this summer we are doing a series called Classroom Management by Design, where we are going to walk you through a step-by-step Lego style process to getting your classroom management in place. So come August, September, when you go back to school, you are set up with the keys for success and already have the foundation set for how your classroom is going to flow this school year. If you are not a primary teacher, you can probably take this information and easily adapt it to your grade level. I, however, specialize in helping primary teachers. I have been in education for over 20 years. The bulk of that time was spent in the primary classroom. A chunk of it was spent as an assistant principal in the administrative role, and I was even granted master teacher status by the state of Ohio. So I am just here sharing my tips, tricks, and wisdom to get you set up for success for the upcoming school year. So in this segment, what we are going to focus on is a huge component that so many teachers skip when they start designing their classroom management. This is layer one. And they don't teach you this step in college. And if they do, it's very, very minimal. So in this segment, we are going to talk about laying the foundation, which is focusing on your core values, your vision, and your beliefs. I am going to walk you through a step-by-step process where you can reflect on all three of those elements. And by the end of this segment, you'll even have your vision statement mapped out, ready to go for your classroom. So let's go ahead, jump in, and get started. Okay, so why is laying this foundation such a key element in classroom management success? The answer is quite simple. If you think of a house, right? A house has to have a solid foundation. Without that solid foundation, what's going to happen to the house? It's going to crumble in the matter of time. Your classroom management system, your classroom management process is the same way. If you don't have a solid foundation, you might start out strong in September, but come October, odds are pretty good it's going to start to crumble little by little, hopefully. If not, I've even seen classrooms where it's been a big crumble all at once. So we want to avoid that for you. We want to get you in the steps, processes, and mindset to have a successful school year this coming year. And the other element is that you want to remember is when you're setting your vision statement, this is going to be your point of direction, right? This is your purpose for teaching. Knowing your values, knowing your beliefs, and knowing your vision are going to help you to maintain consistency. They're going to help you to make informed decisions, and it's even going to help you to stay motivated throughout the school year. That's why this element is so important and yet skipped by so many teachers. So we're gonna, again, guide you through this today, and hopefully you can take this, work with it, and have a great foundation in place. When you have a well-constructed vision statement, this is going to give you enhanced student engagement for your learning outcomes, and it's also going to diminish your student behavior issues. It's key. It's also going to foster that positive classroom learning environment, which not only do you want to see in your classroom, but administrators fall in love with teachers who promote that positive classroom culture. Such a key element for so many administrators and a key to success for so many teachers. This vision statement is going to guide you in your instructional practices. It's going to help you create your vision for how you feel comfortable teaching. When you are in your comfort zone for teaching, that's going to give you that boost of confidence that so many new teachers especially tend to lack when they are just starting off. And then finally, it's going to give you that time to reflect on your personal philosophy towards education and your personal philosophy towards the overall classroom experience, okay? It's gonna put you in alignment, again, to your beliefs and values. We don't wanna skip this step. I cannot stress enough how important this is. So let's start by just focusing on some questions to get you brainstorming about your personal values and beliefs that you want to bring into the classroom. And I'm just going to offer some suggestions of questions for reflection. You can stop this video, take time to jot down your thoughts, or play it through, go back, listen to this again, and choose to answer the questions. But don't skip this step. Make sure you're taking the time to genuinely reflect on how you would answer these questions. So first and foremost, focus on what motivates you as a teacher, okay? I'm not going to say what is your why, but what is your motivation for being in this industry? If it is simply June, July, and August, those summer months, trust me, there were points in my career where that was my why, because I had some years where students truly challenged me. But if that is your sole purpose, then we need to do some deeper diving into what are the benefits of teaching for you? So that would be question one. What motivates you as a teacher? Next, you want to think about what are your non-negotiables when it comes to student learning and behavior. You have to have, I would say, at least 3 non-negotiables in place. It might be interrupting. It might be teamwork. Focus on what your non-negotiables will be for your classroom. Number 3, how do you view the role of the teacher in the classroom? If you have not taken our Identify Your Teaching Style quiz, go ahead and take that quiz, and you will come up with at least one, probably more than one, methods to identify your teaching style. And then we even give you training videos to coach you through how the learning process would unfold for those teaching styles. So take that quiz if you haven't done so. But that's definitely an element you want to think about. And then finally, what kind of a learning environment do you want to create? Do you want it to be a hands-on learning environment? Do you want it to be a hybrid where you do some direct instructing? And you might also have the hands-on component. Do you want it to be fostered around teamwork and community building? There's so many different options of how this can play out, and you just kind of have to focus on what you think you'll be comfortable with. If you're a new teacher, it might be a little more direct instruction, and that's okay. And then you'll build in the hands-on or the teamwork components. If you are a veteran teacher watching this, you might jump right into that community building piece where they're doing a lot of group work. You kind of have to know where you're starting off and where you want to go with this, okay? So go ahead, take some time, jot down your thoughts. This is gonna help you to gain your clarity on, again, establishing your beliefs and your vision, which is going to foster into the next component. So hopefully you did that exercise, and now that you've had time to focus on your beliefs and your values, it's time to start thinking about what is your classroom vision going to look like. This is going to be something that captures the essence of how you want your classroom to look, feel, and sound, right? How do you want that culture to come across when people pass by your classroom? So again, I'm going to ask you a series of questions that you can reflect on and answer. You can do this now, or again, watch this through and go back and do this. But this is like a key element to getting the vision statement in place so you have that direction to turn to, not only right now at the beginning of the year, but even during the middle of the year when things might get a little bumpy along the road, okay? So here's step 1. We want to identify your goals. Think about these 3 questions. What do you hope to accomplish with your students this year? If you are new to a school and you are not sure, I would say look through different Facebook groups and see what common trends are. Obviously, the month of August and September, a big goal is going to be that community building piece. You might be reviewing academics from last year. And then eventually diving into the new curriculum and starting to get into your grade level curriculum. But again, looking to different Facebook groups, teacher groups, there are so many out there. Get suggestions, get ideas, ask questions there. And of course, you can always come to, I have multiple ways to get a hold of me, but the Classroom Management Book Club that I run through Facebook, you're welcome to post questions in there. I am happy to answer them, and there's so many great educators in there that offer their suggestions too. So that's question 1. We're identifying our goals, so you want to think about what do you hope to accomplish this year with your students. Question 2, how do you want your classroom to feel and function? Again, it depends on your teaching style. If it's more direct instruction, it's going to look a lot different than if it's a hands-on space. If it's a hands-on space, you're going to have different sections of your room cornered off. So you might have a science element, a reading nook, you might have a hands-on station where students can go and grab whatever materials that they will need. It just depends on where you're at in your career and again, where you want to move to. So if you are just starting out, do not feel like your room has to be 100% be a hands-on learning classroom. You're probably going to do some direct instruction this year, and that's okay. You don't want it to be too long in length when you're doing direct instruction, but it's okay if you start off that way. The hybrid approach, to me, is one of the best approaches to teaching. And then finally, what outcomes do you want to see in your students' academic and personal growth? And this might be something that you reflect on now, and then come August, meet with your students. Give them simple review activities so you can measure, okay, where are they right now? And then talk to them. If they're strong in math and maybe not so much in reading, then have the conversation with, well, let's come up with some reading goals for you. I would like you to be learning this many sight words, or let's aim for this many math facts, whatever the goal may be. And then you have that as like your base model for growth, so that at the end of the quarter, not at the end of the quarter, but in the middle of the quarter, let's see how we're doing. How are we progressing? Maybe we need to amp up our goal and go even further, right? That's one of the best measuring tools. And when you're doing it your way and not necessarily from a formal assessment, nationwide assessment, you kind of get, in my opinion, truer results. So that would be goal number one, or step number one, identifying your goals. Okay, step two in this process is to envision the ideal classroom. You have to use your imagination a little bit with this one, but it's super, super fun. So picture your ideal classroom. What does it look like? How are the students interacting with not just you, but with each other? How are they treating each other? What teaching methods and classroom management strategies are you using? If you're not sure about this one, again, use your imagination. Think about what made you happy when you were in the classroom, and not so much what you were doing, but what processes did the teacher have in place? What strategies did the teacher have in place that made you feel valued in your classroom? And then number three, how are you addressing the diverse needs of learners in your classroom? This is a critical component that you don't want to skip. Odds are, in this day and age, you are going to have plenty of students on IEPs. You want to really make sure you understand the IEP, understand what accommodations need to be in place, and then how are you going to put those accommodations in place in your everyday teaching. Once you come up with a system, I know it sounds overwhelming, but once you come up with that initial system, it's really truly just a matter of following the process. Get the system in place and then follow the process. Then you know you're adhering to the IEP, and when you have to give feedback on what you're doing in the classroom, you can easily have that documented. So the next step, step three, is incorporating your core values. We already reflected on them. You know what your values are, but now we want to make sure that your vision statement reflects these core values and your beliefs. You want to consider how these values are going to influence your teaching and classroom policy, your teaching practices and your classroom policies. If you don't feel it's in alignment, then take time and see if you can tweak it. Your values, depending on the school you're in, may be different than your school policies. So you want to be careful that you are not, of course, religious beliefs, unless you're in a private religious affiliated school, you want to keep those to yourself. When we're talking about values, you want to think about good citizenship, right? What values do you want to instill in your students that are going to make them good, strong citizens who are giving back to the community? So be mindful of that when you're reflecting on how you're implementing your values in the classroom. Okay, so you've done the reflecting on your values and beliefs. You have now outlined how your values and beliefs are going to play into your vision statement. So now it's time for step 4, where you're actually writing your vision statement. statement. Yes, this may sound overwhelming, but no, it doesn't need to be. You already did the background work for this. It's just taking what you processes you've thought of and putting it into a paragraph, no more than 3 to 4 sentences, depending on how wordy you are, okay? So you're simply taking your goals, you're taking your ideal classroom vision and your core values and putting it into one statement. It's that simple. I'm going to read you a sample statement. You are welcome to take this, tweak this as you fit, as it fits you. You want to make sure that it stays focused and that it encapsulates your vision. Okay, so those are the elements you want to keep in mind as you're writing this. So I'm going to read you a sample vision statement. You are welcome to, again, take this, tweak this, make it your own. Do not copy it exactly though, right? This is just a sample. You are your own teacher. You bring your own gifts and talents to the classroom. So just listen to this, follow it as an example, and tweak it as you see fit. Okay, here we go. In my classroom, I strive to create a nurturing and inclusive environment where every student feels valued and empowered. I believe in fostering a love for learning through engaging and innovative teaching methods. My goal is to support each student's academic and personal growth by promoting a growth mindset, encouraging collaboration, and celebrating diversity in our classroom. Together, we will build a community of learners who are curious, compassionate, and resilient. So again, that's just an example. Take it, tweak it, use it as you see fit, and have fun with this. But bring your own gifts and talents and beliefs and values to your own statement. Don't just copy. Okay, so now hopefully you have your vision statement all hammered out, and it's time to implement your vision statement. Now that you have the statement, what do we do with it? First and foremost, you want to communicate it with your parents, you want to communicate it with your students, you want to communicate it with your colleagues. That way, everybody is on the same page and they understand where you are coming from, what your vision is, and what expectations you are probably going to be setting forth in your classroom. Then you want to display it prominently in your classroom. And it might just be in an area where you're seeing it, because again, this is to keep you focused, on task, and motivated throughout the school year. Your students, especially in the primary levels, they're not going to read a whole paragraph, but this is for you to have on hand so you know and are reminded of what your vision is each and every single day. The next piece, once you have your vision statement in place, is to make sure that your teaching practices, your classroom management strategies, and even your interactions with your students align with your vision statement. How do you do this? You have to take time to reflect pretty regularly to make sure you are adhering to the plan, process, and foundation you've already set. We have a freebie reflection questions that teachers have been loving. I'm happy to share that with you. In fact, I'll link it into the actual blog post. So I'll link it at the bottom of this video too. You can go ahead, grab it, and use it all school year. Okay, so next up, you want to ensure that you are fostering that positive classroom environment. How do you do this? Offer opportunities for students to be collaborating when they're working together. Model empathy. Our student behavior scenario of the day cards do a great job of the modeling component. If you don't know what those are, message me. I'm happy to send you a sample set. And then of course you want to have, so we have the collaboration, we have the empathy, and you also want to have that respect issue, which again comes across so well, and students can practice this in the student behavior scenario of the day cards. How do you bring this about in your classroom? You have to have those systems and routines in place so students know that when other people are talking, they have to wait their turn. So students know that when they are waiting in line, they have to wait their turn and be patient. They're not always first. Another big one that is coming up in this day and age is students being learned how to handle being told no. It is okay to tell students no, but they may not be used to hearing it. So this is, again, is something that can be covered in our student behavior scenario of the day cards. Not always the easiest of topics to bring up as they're happening in the moment, but when you're doing it in under 5 minutes a day through daily practice, classroom management practices has such a huge impact on how your students treat each other and respond to behaviors as they arise in your classroom. So feel free to message me if you would like a sample set. Next up is you want to give your students voice and choice in your classroom. And again, a lot of this is going to depend on where you are in your teacher journey. If you are a new teacher just starting out, this is something you're going to move into throughout the school year. If you're a veteran teacher, you may be able to come out of the gate running strong with this one. Easy ways to begin with implementing student voice and choice is having them help you come up with your classroom. I don't like to use the words rule. We always said a classroom contract, but come up with what classroom behaviors do they feel are appropriate and everybody should adhere to throughout the school year. Then as you create this contract, once everybody agrees to everything that's on there, have them sign it and revisit it throughout the school year. Super, super easy way to get that student voice and choice right there in your classroom from them. And the last step in this whole process is going to be reflecting and adapting. This isn't always the easiest step, but it's probably one of the most critical. You want to do a personal reflection on how you feel your classroom management practices are going. Then you might even seek feedback from your students, from parents if you're brave, but colleagues are always a great resource to use. Ask a teacher friend or mentor to come in and watch you teach a lesson. See if they can give you feedback. Odds are, if you are proactive in seeking feedback, you are going to be more willing to accept the feedback because you're not feeling like you're being judged. You went and asked for opinions, and odds are they're going to be looking and focusing on the positive things that you're doing so you can grow and foster those skills as an educator. So not, again, always the easiest. I would be kind of a little hesitant leaning into parents, especially if you are a new teacher starting out, but going to colleagues or a mentor, such a great way to improve your teaching skills. Okay, remember, this was just our very first video in laying the foundation of our summer series called Classroom Management by Design for Primary Teachers. Of course, if you're not in primary, you can always take this information and adapt as you see fit. I hope that you took the time to do the exercises, came up with some reflections and nuggets that were meaningful to you, and you can see right now how your vision, beliefs, are going to play out into your classroom this upcoming school year. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, classroom management is the most crucial skill primary teachers can master in education. You should be the highest paid professionals, in my opinion, in the whole world. But here's where we're at. This is just where we're at. I help primary teachers master their classroom management through a year-round classroom management support system. It's all done during contracted hours if you so choose. You get direct real-time support. It's one of a kind. I have never seen a classroom management system like this. So I'm going to link the information here. We are accepting teachers from June 10th to June 15th if this is something you are interested in. It is an annual fee, so you pay one fee, you're done paying for the whole year, and you have classroom management support at your fingertips. Best of all, you will have instant access to those student behavior scenario of the day cards. You will get the complete set. You'll pick your grade level, get the complete set at your fingertips so you can start looking through those this summer and have them ready to go with you in August. So thank you so much for being here. We would love to work with you further, be on your journey of classroom management with you. It is not an easy road. We know that, we get that. That's why we're doing this series this summer, and hope you found so many benefits and got some golden nuggets from your personal reflection. Okay, be sure to come back next week for our next step in the Classroom Management by Design series.